The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we're going to have a conversation with a local landscaper, a friend of mine from way back, and I would like to introduce with you Kevin Kennedy. Kevin,
how you doing, guys?
Welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I wanted to have you because you did me a favor this summer, and we had some landscaping done, and you came in with your Kubota,
yeah,
and cleared out some tar for us, and we helped put down some loam, and it kind of expanded our backyard. And I just thought, wow, you did a really good job. You helped a neighbor with mine with one of their sinkholes.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. But you were able to level that out, and so I wanted to give you a little bit of exposure because you're local, you're Nashua.
Yeah,
you've been Nashua.
Nashua.
You've been Nashua. You played on the Indians, right?
I played on the Indians, Papawana. I played football for Nashua High. I graduated in '82.
Yep.
Was on the wrestling team.
You were on the wrestling team too?
I was for a little while.
I didn't know that.
The problem is I had a thing for the coach's daughter, and I knew that wasn't going to work out real well. So
later on, yeah. Well, I met you in Elm Street.
Yes.
I think we were in 9th grade, and but anyway, that's a long time ago. But your resume is in engineering, isn't it?
I went to school for electrical engineering.
Yep.
And basically worked in electronics, and then had a career with Raytheon and then Lockheed, and went out for a reconstructive knee surgery and found myself in a little wonderful world of 9/11.
Yeah.
And there was no work. And so I knew that I had to get back on the horse, and the only job I could find at the time was putting cones behind the striper truck for the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So then I worked my way up to get into driving heavy truck and stuff, and then there was an engineering job that popped out. Electrical math is a lot harder than civil math.
Right.
Civil math is volumes and whatnot, unless you get into static. But so I took the test, and they said, due to a lack of interest from anybody else, you're hired.
All right, that's a state for you.
Yeah, and I've been there 18 years, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Every day is a different day. You never know what the problems are going to be. But to go into the excavation, the tread lightly excavation, is the way this started is I've been running equipment since I was probably about 12 years old, and I know, like a lot of people our age, retirement. The thing that you just retire and you never work again. And you collect your. That doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I wanted to find a business that I would be able to do and continue doing.
Yep.
And I had several criterias. One was something that I could do well past my 70s.
Yep.
And so if it's well past my 70s, then manual labor may not be the right way to go. Climbing 10, 12, 15-foot ladders to do things, maybe not the way to go. Heavy trucks, carry not quarts, but 16 gallons or 21 gallons of motor oil. That's not something you want to do at 70, 75 years old.
Right.
So I started looking at all this stuff, and I found a commercial grade piece of equipment, and it's a backhoe, and it'll dig down, as you can see, it'll dig down 8.5 feet.
Yeah.
So I can do water lines or sewer lines. It's more than adequate to do frost walls for foundations for a garage or an addition. It's not adequate enough to do a foundation for a house unless you just want to live there for a while. You know,
Right.
for speed purposes, you want a bigger machine. But
Yeah.
the thing that's nice about this machine is it'll fit through a 6-foot gate. I have turf tires on it, so I can roll to the spot and back without creating residual damages.
Tread lightly.
Tread lightly excavation, and my motto is to complete the project with the least amount of collateral damage as possible.
Yep.
So, you know, with that, this year was different. The hydraulics, we got so much rain that if you went across somebody's lawn in July, you were still
You're gonna
making
sink.
a mess.
Yeah.
This year, but then again, this year I did more under drains than I did at any other time.
Under drains. What's under drains?
Under drain is something that you put in your ground, and you'll bring water from one spot to another spot, but you'll bury it. So what you'll do is you'll dig a trench, usually 2.5 feet down, 2 feet down, fill it with stone, put a pipe in that's perforated, wrap it up so it doesn't get sediment in it.
Yep.
Backfill it with stone over that, and then you put your loom over it. So if you have a water issue, like if you had a water issue in your backyard,
Where you're sitting at the bottom part of a hill or something
Right.
like that.
instead of directing it towards your neighbor and having that waterfall effect going down to your neighbor,
Yeah.
you direct it probably out towards the fence line where it's not going to bother anybody. So under drains give you the ability to move water, and then you can dictate where the
direction.
water's going to go.
You did a lot of those this year?
I did a lot of them this year. There was, you know, a place in Merrimack where there was, you know, when I started digging around, they blew enough dynamite to put in like these 10 houses, but the ledge started probably within 10 feet of their house. And then the backyard sloped up, so the water would just come down,
No
hit
place to go.
that, yeah, no place to go, and then right into their basement. So you do a perimeter drain around the house, bring it out and around,
Yep.
and then as it slopes away, it slopes towards the street under the ground, and then it's pooling underground and it's not affecting the house.
Now, do you have to do any like local regulations and stuff like
But
that?
you got to do dig safe. You
Yeah.
have to call dig safe. And as an operator, like they get the commercial saying, if you're going to have somebody do it, you got to call it. Well, the fact of the matter is if you're the operator, you have to call.
Okay.
And so anytime you're doing something, you want to call dig safe to make sure that that's okay.
There's not like an existing pipe. some
You
type of
want to get
water,
into their
yeah,
house,
gas.
look in their basement, find out where the pipes are, because I've had the husband tell me one thing, the wife tell me another. You really need to just say, I really need access to your house so I can see where your sewer line is, see where your water line is,
Yep.
see where your gas line is, if there is a gas line. They'll come out and mark most of the stuff out, but what I've found is not everybody's in dig safe. Like in the town of Merrimack, the utilities are there, but Merrimack Village Water District is not on dig safe, so you have to call them separately.
Really?
So you
Wow.
need to find out all this stuff before you start digging in the
Yeah.
ground anyway, or you're going to have a huge
A big problem. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that, I mean,
What are other things that you do?
I've done bush removal. I did a friend of mine that lives down off of Kinsley Street, and he's got a house that's, you know, I don't know, probably built in the 20s. And he had arborvitaes going around his front property and up his walkway. Well, you know, he wanted to just loom it over. That would have taken him 4 or 5, maybe 6 weekends in a row to dig out the
roots and
roots and the whole 9 yards. So I went in there in a day, excavated all the bushes out, you know, leveled the lot, and then all he had to do is bring in a foot of loom and cover it. And I would have done it for him, but he didn't have the loom that day. There was not enough room. We had a dumpster in the street for all the bushes, so it was a lot.
Oh yeah. So do you take things to the dump as well?
I don't, because I don't own a dump truck.
Right. Okay.
And, you know, I'm trying to keep it as inexpensive as it is.
And it's light.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you get into the dump trucks now, you've got to pay the dump fees and everything else. Well, one of the things is that I do this part-time, so I have very competitive prices, and I try and work within people's budgets.
Yeah. Excellent. And especially nowadays, people want that. Yeah.
So if I come in and I do a full 8 hours day, and then you want me to take stuff to the dump, first of all, on a Saturday, the dump's open to what, noon, 1
Yeah.
o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So then that stuff's got to sit at my house till whenever.
Right.
Not necessarily a grand scenario, but the other thing is cost. The dump costs are lightly. So I mean, dump costs are expensive.
And they're not going down, are they?
No, and so I mean, I don't know, and of course, buying a dump truck, a 1-ton in New England, is constantly used for plowing, right? So, do you want to buy a second-hand one ton?
So what's the areas that you cover? Obviously Merrimack.
I've gone all the way up to Tilton.
Okay.
And I've gone to Amesbury, Mass. So I'll go wherever, but the further out I go, the more money I got to charge.
Sure, obviously mileage and time.
The standard mileage for me is 15-mile radius from exit 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that, I'll have to add on depending on how far we're going.
So I don't know if you have a website yet.
I do, but I'm having problems with it. Right now, matter of fact, I have the treadlightlyexcavation.com address. I use GoDaddy, but I've been having problems with it.
Okay.
So right now, my email address is, I can't get to it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be rectified. I've been in talks with them. I'm hoping. I don't want to lose that. But
Yeah. Now you're also on LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I'm on LinkedIn as a state employee. I don't.
Yeah. And you're still with the state.
Yeah, I'll be with the state till I retire, whenever that is.
Yeah.
So
you do drains, you bush removals, stumps, things.
Stumps, bushes, any type of removal. I did a shed excavation. Demolition, where I dropped down the shed and put it up in a dumpster, and they hauled it away. So it's more. I would say any kind of landscaping where you want reshaping of your terrain, spreading of loam, ripping out stumps, bushes, hedges, things like that. I like to think of myself as a homeowner's helper.
Yep. I've done a lot of, well, you can say they're hoarders type of situations, and one of the things that's helped me with that, rather than taking constant trips to the dumps, I just get one of those dumpsters delivered, a larger dumpster, and you can just put things into that. And so if a homeowner needs something to be hauled away, you can just order a dumpster,
Right.
just put there, and you can just load.
Right.
To me, that would seem like it would be the
And
easiest.
and that's what I
Yeah.
do, but I recommend the homeowner do that.
Right.
I don't want the
you
extra
hassle.
responsibility, and that keeps my prices cheap.
Yeah.
If I start doing more and more and more, then the prices start going up.
So when you were doing my place, you looked like you were having too much fun.
I enjoy it because I can get away from the politics or the he said, she said, or I didn't agree to that, and
Yeah.
it's,
You're your own boss.
Yeah.
You're the master of your own.
it's
your
nice to be able
craft.
to say I'm going to work with this person,
Yep.
or no, I'm not going to work with that person.
Mm-hmm.
When you're an employee for another organization, you have to do what that organization needs done.
Mm-hmm.
When you're self-employed, you have two choices. You either say, this isn't worth the money that I'm going to get,
Yeah.
or this is going to be a good deal. And so when it's a good deal, I take it.
So you got the backhoe part where you can dig holes. You have the front part where you can lay out the dirt.
I have a front end loader on the backhoe.
Mm-hmm.
I have the backhoe. I have a hydraulic thumb. I have pallet forks. I have a 60-inch grapple,
Yep.
so I can grab debris, or especially for trees down and things like that. It's great for when storm hits. And then I have a power angle snowplow as well.
What's the most unusual type of job you've done?
I think probably moving a breathing tube for a septic tank. A lot of these people, they get their houses, and the builders will come in and they'll put their little candy cane as close as they can, because the closer it is,
Easier.
the shorter amount of pipe, the less amount of ground. But a lot of times it ends up in either in their front yard or in the middle of their backyard. And if you continue the slope back, you can move it back. It's still going to breathe.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to have it. Here's the picture of my house, and there's my
Candy
my
cane.
vent pipe.
Right.
So
Which we paint multiple colors during Christmas season.
yeah, I've seen people paint them as candy canes. That's
Yes.
why I call them candy cane. So I've moved them so that they're not front and center of either the back window or the front window, which I thought was it was nothing I thought I was ever going to do, but I was called and I looked at it and I said, we've got enough room and enough cover to continue the pitch. So the breathing's going to be the same. So I've done that. You know, and dig footings for a couple Mason friends of mine, dig footings for frost walls so they can build their rock walls. But I think the other one, another Mason of mine, he had me put a granite block with the name of a condominium on it. He built 2 columns.
Yeah.
And then I used my my forks and we went up and we sat it down in.
That's right. It does act like a forklift. I know you had to. You took.
Yeah, I
some
have the pallet forks on it too.
Yeah, so that's another thing that.
That was kind of tricky because it didn't look bad, but you know the sign was on an island, right?
Right.
So you have granite curbs, and then you have the bark mulch. Well, that was almost 3 feet above the roadway. So to drive up on it,
Yeah.
you know, of course, now you're sitting back like this, and then you got to go all the way to the top and drop it in.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice when it was done because I was a little nervous breaking this 8-foot long granite sign. You know, it's not like you're just going to go down to Home Depot and get it.
That must have weighed a ton.
It was probably about 3 inches thick, so it wasn't the heaviest thing I've ever picked up. But
handling
is
it
heavy.
personally, it must have been difficult. But having a forklift that you can actually.
I wouldn't have wanted to pick it up personally. They loaded it into the back of the truck with a machine, and we picked it up out of the back of the machine, and we put it on the pedestals of the back of the machine, and I was perfectly good with doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
right.
You know, the old days of, you know, hey, put on the gloves.
Yeah. Just put it on my shoulder. I can do it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You pay for that later.
That was interesting, and there was one other one. What was? It was removing somebody's precast front steps. Because they were going to put in granite steps, and they didn't want to pay them to come in and do everything, so they had me remove the granite steps.
So how did you do that? You must have put some straps around it.
Well, that's what I did because I was afraid of the house and everything else.
Yeah.
So I put a strapper on the back of it and then hooked it to the tractor.
Yeah.
Put it in 4 low and just backed up. And then once I backed up and it slid away from the house, then I put the pallets on and just picked it up and moved it to where they wanted
comes
it.
this big swarm of bees.
Oh yeah, you never know, and I don't have glass
no idea.
on it, so you're in trouble with that. But,
no idea. I'm just kidding, but I noticed in my front steps, we noticed some bees going in a little hole there. This year was like, that doesn't look good. And of course, the dogs, you know, hey, what's that?
Yeah, well, they'll find them.
Yeah, stay away from there.
Yeah.
So, are you on Facebook too? With
I am.
Yeah, you got Facebook.
I have the Tread Lightly Excavation on Facebook.
Now,
as
do you
well.
post pictures there on your Facebook page?
I haven't in a while, only because I just got bombarded with the blast and the boost and
what you did in your
backyard.
backyard is amazing. The befores and afters.
Oh yeah,
that was like nature's camp out there, and all of a sudden it's nice and clear, and you get these 2 sheds that you put out there.
Yeah,
that looks nice.
There was 90 trees. There was 4 giant 90-foot pine trees that me and you couldn't get our arms around together.
Right.
And they were about 40 feet from the house. So being 80, 90 feet tall, 40 feet from the house.
Yep. That's not
the
good.
math didn't work for me.
Right.
The comfort level wasn't there. So
Another October surprise, winter storm could be.
Exactly. And so once I took them down, I said, I have half of my lot is covered with pines that I can't put anything back there, and I can't do anything unless you want to cover with sap.
Mm-hmm.
So took them all down and then ripped up all the 90 stumps and then put grass in there. And
it looks really nice.
It looks really nice.
Do you have any problem with water now that the trees are gone?
No more than where there was a wet spot in between me and my neighbor to the south of my house, and the wet spot's there, so I put in an under drain to move the water.
Sometimes when people lose their trees, they take them up. There might be a water table there that wasn't there before because the trees were sucking all that up.
And that's absolutely true, and especially if you have like a weeping willow tree.
Yeah.
Weeping willow tree is traditionally planted to suck up a lot of water where there's a lot of water problems. So if you have a weeping willow tree, you may want to think twice about ripping that up without having something to move that water. And if you got nowhere to move that water, I recommend leaving that tree where it is.
Oh my gosh. I cut one down once when I was in my 20s, and then I had to get the stump up. That took me weeks and weeks, and I did it by hand. That's when you think you're it's not worth it. But anyway, I got it done. But again, the water table goes up, and it's like, oh, yeah.
And that was the other thing I learned is that, you see the trunk of a stump, and if it's, 36 inches in diameter, all right, and especially if that's an oak tree, that stump underground is about 7 feet
in all directions, right?
So, I mean, that was one of the things I learned doing my yard is I pulled out a couple stumps, and they were so big and so heavy, and I'll show you some pictures. When it's standing on the side, it's as big as I am, as far as height, and of course, much, much wider than I mean.
Really?
Which
Wider?
It's a lot to be wider than I am, and it is. And I grabbed onto it, and I started picking it up, and I noticed my nose started going forward, which means the front end of my tractor is coming up off the ground. Put it down real gently and let go of it and go, let's rethink this.
Yeah. Let's do it in pieces. Hey, so how do people get in touch with you?
They 603-886-4181 is my phone number.
Okay.
And there's always, if somebody's not there, there's an answering machine, I'll get back to you immediately. As well as soon as I can get my .com address up and running, it's treadlightlyexcavation.com.
And Facebook you can get on?
And Facebook as well. You can get a hold of me on Facebook. And I have business cards at several places, and I constantly am handing them out. I got a job in Tilton by the business card. I think I've had more luck with the business card, but word of mouth is huge too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to immortalize you here on Gate City Chronicles.
That's always good.
So on a side note, Kevin, when I knew you in school, you were practicing, is it Kempo or?
I started doing judo when I was 10 at the Boys Club and went to Kempo.
I started wrestling at the Boys Club.
Yep.
What a great, that was great.
It was good.
Yeah.
One of my fondest memories at the Boys Club was I had this big guy that wanted to beat me up. And we had only 2 pairs of gloves at the Boys Club. And one was brand new, and one was this old petrified leather. And of course, the bigger guy wanted the nice fancy gloves, and he gave me the old petrified gloves. And although he beat the heck out of me, every time I hit him with those petrified gloves, I left a leather burn on his face. So, 2 or 3 days afterwards, everybody's saying that, I won the fight and giving this guy a hard time. And he had marks on his face for like a month. Oh. And my face was fine, but I did lose that. That boxing match didn't go my way, but the history sometimes is rewritten.
The Boys Club was great. I mean, they had the swim team, they had the basketball team, the wrestling team. Then play ping pong, and it really was a place to go.
Oh, absolutely.
If you didn't want to get in trouble, that was a great place to go right after school. Dad, can I go? And they give you the card, and it was kind of
They had the electronic, even back then they had electronic classes, they had the cooking classes, they had everything.
The weight room.
I was involved with the swim team and the diving team, and I got involved with the judo. I probably spent more time playing pool and foosball and than I probably should have, but it was still, like you said, we weren't getting in trouble.
Yeah, you weren't getting in trouble, and today I can still beat some the young kids when they come in. Yeah, I can play. Until they start beating me, then I'm all done. But at least I know how to play.
That was the wonderful thing for me is because they had sent my neighborhood to Ledge Street School, so we were popping. For a little while I was at Crowley, and it was right below us at James B. Crowley on Main Street. And then when we moved to Ledge Street, they opened it up at Ledge Street. So it felt like, they knew I was going there.
Do you remember what it was like before? Remember where it was on Main Street?
I do remember. That's what I'm saying. Because James B. Crowley, which is the Adult Learning Center, that was my, that's where I went to 1st and 2nd grade.
Right.
So it was right below it. You look out the back
So it just followed you everywhere you went.
It certainly seemed it, right? And I played football for them later on, Bantam football. And that was,
I don't remember them having a football team.
They had a great football team. As a matter of fact, the year that I played for them, it was 78. We were ranked, I believe it was number 3 in the country.
Really?
Yeah. So
our wrestling team was one of the better ones at that time too. Till we went, I think we went to Chelmsford and we did the freestyle. I thought I was pretty good.
There's nothing wrong with being humbled because it makes you look at your mistakes. If you're always winning,
Kevin, it was like 3 seconds, and I was like, "What?" Freestyle was completely different. It was completely different type of wrestling. But anyway, so you moved on. You're 5th degree now.
Yes, I'm a 5th degree
and you are an instructor.
Caro Zempo Kempo. I've been an instructor since we were in high school.
So where do you do your teaching?
I'm teaching at a place called Dragon Phoenix Martial Arts under Professor Jesse Dwyer in
Is that in
Chelmsford,
Nashville?
Mass.
Chelmsford.
It's in Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so you have students every week?
I usually teach twice a week, 2 classes on Monday and 3 classes on Wednesday.
You're busy, man. So you're working for
try.
the state. You got Tread Lightly. You have classes that you teach. What don't you do, Kevin? Jeez. And now you're on national TV.
I've been waiting to get a chance to play guitar with you because
Yeah.
I do play.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as you, but I can at least feel the rhythms. You
I
know?
fake it. I'm just a singer.
You know, you're the guy that plays lead with you. Is I think I'll just strum the rhythms and let him do the leads. I like to draw. I like to, anything that's artistic is something. And I kind of use my yard to me as a 3D landscaping type of thing. Even though I'm not a landscaper,
It looks good.
It came out really nice. I mean, there's a bit of a fall off edge to it that would have been nice if it was more flat. But
Yeah.
I'm not playing golf out there, so it's okay.
Yeah, just hit the balls out towards the power lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, it's, you know, and of course, as a homeowner, what don't you do?
Yeah. So you've been from Nashville all your life, pretty much.
I moved here in 1965 when I was 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I was born in Groton City Hospital.
Yeah.
And my parents moved here off of Main Dunstable Road. They were the first ones to live on White Plains Drive. And
I remember your mom used to bring us to football practice.
yeah, and then at 19 I left, and at 29 I came back home, and I'm here to stay.
Yeah. So Tread Lightly. You can see it on Facebook. If you have some light work, yard work that needs to be done that you don't feel like you want to break your back with, call Kevin Kennedy. If you want to learn some of the martial arts, just some protective moves, call Kevin Kennedy. Right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And thanks for coming on the show. We
No
really
problem,
appreciate
sir.
it. And if you have a story, you got a local business or a local nonprofit, you want to come on the show, talk about it, we'd love to have you. This is here for you. We're here for you, and hopefully we help get your message out, your business out, and hopefully help you prosper. So until next week, thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.